In 2010, the internet will change for the worst. At least it will in the eyes of Jim Saccone, vice president at AT&T. According to Saccone, the current infrastructure will not be able to handle the amount of uploaded user-generated content, such as video. Saccone says,
"The surge in online content is at the center of the most dramatic changes affecting the internet today. In 3 years' time, 20 households will generate more traffic than the entire internet today. This problem can only be tackled by those who provide the internet's existence, who are a group of private companies. There's nothing magical or ethereal about the internet. It is no more ethereal than the highway system. It is not created by an act of God, but upgraded and maintained by private investors. I think people agree why the internet is successful. My personal view is that government has wisely chosen to keep a light touch and let innovators develop it."
According to AT&T, the only way to conquer this potentially devastating slowdown scenario is by means of investment into their corporations. They need money, and they need control. They are the only ones capable enough to do it because governmental intervention is fundamentally wrong. If it were only so simple.
The best metaphor for describing bandwidth is thinking about a small dirt road and getting from one county to the next in the middle of nowhere and traveling on the Autobahn. You have one where it's bumpy and rattly and sometimes the road might be washed out, and then you have the Autobahn where everybody's driving at 125 miles an hour to move around, and that's the way the internet works. The original connections were all through regular telephone lines, so that the packets, the way the information is broken down and sent, was limited really by, in some ways, if we think about it, by physical space. Although it's digital, we can use the metaphor of physical space and think about all this information getting compressed into this little wire and getting sent through. So bandwidth is the ability to really transport large amounts of information without any loss or any complication.
Bandwidth is digital water. It provides the sustenance and growth for ideas so that it may flourish and spread throughout the world via the internet. What AT&T proposes is that they be given complete control over the bandwidth supply. If they are given control, the supply would be heavily impeded by bandwidth limitation, which is regulation for AT&T's profit.
Bandwidth limitations would be, in the terms of net neutrality, would mean that somebody would be almost putting a clamp on a pipe and only letting certain bits of information through. So if you can't afford a full-on access, you might only get the country road. So you're going to be getting limited amounts of information, and which means limits to what you can do with it. If you're an entrepreneur and you need fast bandwidth, you need a large freeway to provide the infrastructure for your business, you're not going to be able to get it because you won't be able to afford it, while a large corporation will be able to buy everything that they need. So a bandwidth limitation is limiting the way the information and the way the data is moved around from point A to point B.
Trying to regulate, I suspect, and I can't prove this, but I suspect they're trying to regulate, the bandwidth in different areas at different times, or they're simply putting in equipment that's bad equipment, so that things don't go through as quickly, and then they want you to pay more to step up the access to a higher level of bandwidth, and so it's just another way to leverage people paying more. But it doesn't improve the network. in terms of the quality of the network, like Comcast or Time Warner, or for that matter, AT&T at this point, are using the existing infrastructure and just manipulating the marketplace to get whatever they can out of it. But I don't believe that they're really investing in improving the infrastructure.
From this perspective, we see AT&T's true motivations to control bandwidth. It is not for some great altruistic urge to preserve humanity and prevent digital collapse. Instead, AT&T just wants to regain control over a source of profit that has quickly fallen out of their grasp.
AT&T is just, they want to control, period. They don't want people doing what people are going to do, and people are going to find a way to do it. They want to do it. It's the U.S. idea that everybody's getting their 15 minutes of fame. Anybody can put anything up. It doesn't necessarily mean it's quality, but people are still doing it, and sometimes it does lead to quality. But if AT&T tries to control it, there are going to be people that are going to be finding ways around it and putting their stuff anyway. The thing to do really is to work almost like a YouTube model, which is to develop a technology that really allows that kind of accessibility, that allows people to post it. So it allows people to post something that the technology will compress and distribute in a way that's effective for whatever network is available.
Something needs to be clarified. YouTube is David Greenfield's idea of a solution, whereas Saucony believes it is the problem. Saucony sees the users as destructive. It is reasonable to see the users are the ones causing the problem because their content is being put into the infrastructure and increasing the burden. But it is not negative because the usage of the internet is the whole point of its existence. Why then is it such a horrible issue that the users are using the internet? Like AT&T said, bandwidth isn't magic. It's their commodity to capitalize upon.
If the government intervenes to prevent the free market, the so-called free market, from taking over the internet, then yes, the future is bright. But if the free market, so to speak, ends up running the internet, then you end up with the same kind of mess that you can see in the financial market. It's a dangerous precedent to turn over the internet to private corporations to run it.
The internet is crucial to our intellectual growth. It connects the world in an unprecedented manner. To consider limiting this beautiful web of minds is an atrocity that cannot be tolerated. The internet is a river that quenches our thirsting minds and souls. In its current form, the internet has moved the world forward, and this form must be maintained in order to better help humanity grow.